Here at Mjbizcon 2022. Where's the straightforward camera angle? Back again, Dimitri Downing here, and I'm pleased to introduce our up there. We got a production thing over there. That's where we're at. I'm pleased to introduce our next guest here, Brian Vicente. I would say Vicente Sederberg.
Vicente. It's like Vicente Fox. Vicente.
I like Vicente Fox. Okay, Vicente Fox. Brian Vicente from Vicente Sederberg. And if you haven't Googled that yet, it is perhaps one of the largest cannabis firms in the world.
Yep.
In the world. So we're honored to have you. But we're going to chat a little bit about who you are, how you got it, how you navigated into the cannabis industry, your law firm, and what you're doing now. But let's start with your journey. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited to be here in Vegas in this crazy trade show atmosphere.
It is incredible how many people are here.
It's a ton of energy for sure.
So when did where'd you go to law school?
That's the University of Denver Law School, and I'm unique in that the second I graduated in 2004, I started working on cannabis policy and legal work full time, and I've never stopped. So it's been almost 20 years. Yeah.
That's why everybody loves you, because you're one of the most credible that Fox, all those guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So you started in 2004 in cannabis advocacy.
Correct.
So you were involved in the early years.
It was early years, man. It was Colorado. I was in Colorado at the time, although I was working on national campaigns as well. And it was 8 years prior to any state legalizing cannabis, and medical marijuana was still kind of a taboo thing in a lot of places. So there's a lot of work to be done.
This is a cool thing for me, because you're like a legend in this space, and I get to interview you and learn more about you that I probably should have known. So when did you start your law? So your law practice since 2004. Well, it wasn't cannabis originally, right?
So it was 100% cannabis, yeah. Basically what I did from 2004 to about 2010 was just run a nonprofit organization, Sensible Colorado.
Okay.
And also worked with the Marijuana Policy Project to change cannabis laws. And a lot of that was in Colorado, doing sort of impact legal cases. And I know you're a lawyer too. Defending folks who are dying of cancer and AIDS and using medical cannabis and being prosecuted criminally for it. And that was ridiculous. I would take those cases for free, would get a lot of press on it. And I also ran local ballot measure campaigns, changing the cannabis laws to legalize cannabis in Denver or Breckenridge, Telluride, places like that to get press and to show the public that there's an alternative to prohibition. And during that time, I was out there, I was in the news, I was doing it as a nonprofit attorney making no money, and eventually people were like, hey, you're the guy in the news talking about cannabis all the time, can you help me run my cannabis business or figure out how to get it off the ground? And that's really how Vicente Sederberg came to be in 2010.
And then that was 2010. And I'm thrilled about that, because I did not remember, and I've probably heard it different times, that little portion about your background. But it's so exciting to see people, the OGs, the advocacy guys, merge into successful businesses. And now you have 90 plus lawyers working for you across the world?
About 45 lawyers and another 50 or so staff. And we're unique because all our law firm does, 100% is cannabis and cannabis ancillary. We do a little bit of psychedelics these days. We actually ran and supported and drafted the Colorado psilocybin mushroom measure that just passed 10 days ago. So we're very excited about that. But
we'll get into that in a second. Absolutely. So back just so people can know a little about your law firm. So what kind of people should reach out to you? Ancillary, auxiliary, cultivators, dispensaries, delivery, distributors, manufacturers, all the above?
Yeah, basically if you are a licensed cannabis business, whether that's a grower or a store or a manufacturer, we're here to do your legal work, whether that's licensing or corporate M&A work, investment work. We also represent a lot of ancillary businesses, so transportation companies, tech companies that service the cannabis industry. We also represent governments in writing good cannabis laws.
You're such a friendly, extroverted kind of guy. I had trouble, I'll be honest, practicing law, because there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of office time, and it gets kind of lonely, But, if I could achieve at your level, maybe I should have gone in that direction. But
you've done a lot yourself, my friend. It's all good.
Well, I'm learning, and I'm learning from individuals like you. So this is great, because one of the things we try to do is promote the OGs, promote the people who are generally concerned and have been and are still involved in advocacy and improving the industry. to get individuals out there to understand that when you support his business, you're supporting the movement as well. And I know you don't like to say that, but I'm saying it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other law firms like, I don't know, won't mention any names, they're just coming to the industry because, okay, that's another widget to make money off of. But when you are supported, the industry moves forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I think there's an argument to be made that we played a big role in creating the industry. So I wrote Colorado's legalization law with a couple of my colleagues.
We're sitting here with the guy who wrote the Colorado legalization law, okay?
And that's essentially the first legalization to pass in history.
What year was that?
That was 2012.
Yeah.
Right? And that I think showed the rest of the world and the next 20 states to come that legalization was possible. A lot of the framework of that law is actually copied in places like Arizona and Maine, and really every state has some degree of that Colorado model in it. So we started from a place of advocacy, and we remain very much advocates, but we also provide business services to these good operators.
Simple stuff like LLCs, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, corporate work, real estate work. I personally do a lot of licensing, so when new states open up, whether it's New York, New Jersey, or Florida is having a new round of licensing to let new people in to operate businesses, we'll help folks compete in those license contests and dot their I's, cross their T's, and open up a business.
And just because I know there will be somebody out there, and I always tell people the limited licensing game, I don't like it, but it is what it is. And it's a great way to establish yourself and get started in the industry. Just to touch it real quickly, what markets do you see hot in regards to licensing right now? And you can help people with this as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're active in any regulated cannabis market, really around the world, but largely domestically. We're seeing a lot of licensing right now in the South, which is fascinating. We're doing a bunch of applications currently in Alabama. We just actually submitted about 25% of all the licenses that were submitted in Mississippi. So it's just funny.
You guys did 25%?
Yeah, we did 25%. We did a ton of them, hundreds. So, and then Florida. It's interesting, the South. And for me, I have a lot of passion about the tri-state. We're very active in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. We just submitted a bunch of license applications there. So these are new business opportunities, and it's exciting for people to get in on the ground floor, and we want to help them do so.
And retail, manufacturing, cultivation, their licenses are open. Depends on the state.
Depends on the state. Alabama, and it's all open season. Any license type you want to apply for, including vertical, or currently there's an application period. It actually ends December 31st, so get your application in now.
Is that Florida?
No, that's Alabama.
Oh, Alabama.
Yeah, which is just funny that that's how far we've come in a movement.
I know.
We're talking about medical marijuana grows in Alabama.
I love it though.
But New York, we just did a round of retail license applications for disproportionately impacted drug war victims, right? So New York's moving forward with retail. There's all sorts of stuff happening.
Is there a court case right now that froze everything or something?
It froze a number of the jurisdictions, yeah. So there are still, arguably they're still going to move forward with licensing this first round of stores. But there was a court case that froze that licensing process in a number of counties, right? In Brooklyn and other places. So
it probably impacts some of your clients.
It impacts some of our clients for sure, yeah. And I'm a lawyer, but I'm a lawyer that doesn't like to see a courtroom if I can help it. I prefer to stay outside of this sort of litigation because it slows down the process, right? You want people to have access to adult use businesses. Why should we gum up the works there? The
big smile you see on my face is I feel like a kid in a candy shop sitting next to Willy Wonka. You know what I'm saying? Because it's cool. I mean, honestly, I know a lot of stuff. I get around and people think I know everything, blah, 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 but I don't. But guys like you are making stuff happen, behind you guys make things happen, which is so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here, I'm learning from you, and whoever watches this better pay attention and call you for that free hour consultation.
There you go.
Do you guys do that? I know this one guy who's worth $1 billion. I told him, if you're going to get into cannabis, hire a law firm, get some paralegals, get a team of organic growth together, sort of like Harvest and True Leave and Steve White and those guys did. It's a model to do. Is that something that they would reach out to you for, and you could guide them through the whole thing?
Yeah, no. We hear from a lot of we deal with anyone from high net worth individuals to family offices to your guy on the street, right? In terms of trying to understand this industry, understand the market, and then follow the rules, and sometimes try to impact the rules, right? We help states and municipalities write laws that are better for all community members, right? Not just business owners, and I think that's important to the longevity of this movement.
Yeah, so you're working with governments as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. This is. I'm actually impressed. I'm honored to be sitting with you. I know you don't like the flattery. You're a humble dude, which is really cool. But it's really cool to be sitting with you. But you're still involved in you got your business stuff going on. You're helping all these companies navigate the business waters that they need to navigate. And but you're still involved in advocacy. I know you just started the national. How are you involved in the National Hispanic Cannabis Council?
Yeah, so this is an interesting organization. It's a nonprofit that I was one of the 3 or 4 founders of. We founded this during the kind of the height of COVID, when the Black Lives Matter movement was going on. There's a really robust discussion about race in this country, and we had all been pretty successful. As my dad was first generation, Cuban American.
Are you Cuban?
Yeah, I'm Cuban. Soy cubano. And when you look at the numbers related to this new industry that we care so much about, Dimitri, we have 20% of the American public are Hispanics, right? But only 5% of cannabis business owners are Hispanics.
We're both Hispanic, by the way.
And that's just ridiculous, right? This is a new industry, and who's been most impacted negatively by the drug war and cannabis prohibition? Chicanos, Hispanics, and blacks, right? And so these are the people being shut out of the industry moving forward, not on my watch, right? So we formed this nonprofit to try to really empower Hispanics in this space. And we've had a bunch of, True Leave and Cure Leave, and Cure Leave, a bunch of big companies join, a bunch of smaller companies join. And we have we do some degree of government relations, but largely we're kind of a business incubator. We connect people, and we make sure that Hispanics have a voice and have best practices to be a meaningful part of this new industry.
I'm going to tap you for my free hour consultation about Latin America, Mexico, and Cuba, which you probably, Cuba legalization. We'll skip Mexico and Latin America. I'm going to call him for that. You guys call him too. Let's talk about Cuba. What's going on in Cuba?
And there's not, I spent some time in Cuba a couple years ago. I have a lot of family members there. And I don't think they're going to be moving forward with legalization anytime soon. It's too bad because they have a great climate for growing down there. But I just think it's a pretty restrictive culture in certain ways, right? In terms of drug use, as well as gay rights and just other things that they are behind the times on.
¿Se habla español?
Un poquito.
Well, you need to get down there and find Castro's gone.
That's right.
Who's in charge now?
It was Raul Castro, but I think it's now a right-hand man who I forget his name. But,
yeah. You need to get down there and convince them that it's a great opportunity and great business to get into.
Yeah.
So excellent. You and I need to get a little bit more in touch about the National Hispanic Cannabis Council. See how I can help you promote.
That'd be wonderful.
In any way, and be involved in any capacity you need me to. I love what you're doing. You deserve your success.
Thank you.
As one of the OGs. Let's get quickly into a couple topics. What are the hot topics in cannabis today? What, like the scuttlebutt that people are missing by not being here at Mjbizcon?
Sure. Well, the truly remarkable thing is, right, just last week we picked up 2 more states, right? Missouri and Maryland are now legalization adult use states. That's 21 states. And then the question is, what happens in the next 6 weeks, right? Will that create the pressure on this sort of lame duck Congress? Well, you have, I think it's 18 new members of Congress coming from those states, right? Your senators and your reps going to D.C. You had legalization passed by a wide margin in those states. Is something going to happen at the federal level? And I know that Senator Cory Booker is here for this convention.
He's here right now?
I got invited to a breakfast with him Friday. I don't know if I'm going to spend $5,000 to get a breakfast with the guy, if it's like a fundraising thing.
He should be paying $5,000 to get breakfast with you.
Yeah, he should get him on your show here, man. We should put him on the record, see what he's going to do for us. But
really, he needs to learn from you the language, the regulatory structure of the industry.
Maybe I'll go to breakfast after all.
Maybe he'll ask me for that 1 hour consultation.
That's right. I'll say it pro bono for you, Cory. But the question is, what's going to happen in D.C., man? And we have such a vibrant movement, it's such a diverse movement, and there's tons of more and more money and more states coming on board. Are we going to see something in D.C.? There's a lot of momentum with what Biden did in terms of these expungements. So it's an exciting time.
So Missouri, Maryland, again, we don't need to get into the details. Those are another 30-minute consultation. But if people want to compete, get involved in those markets, they should reach out to your firm, and you guys are well versed.
Absolutely, yeah. We've done a lot of work in both those states for years.
And a lot of people like to do business in person. Where are you guys located physically?
Sure. So I'm in Denver, which is sort of our flagship office, but we have a number of offices around the country. Our biggest ones are Denver, LA, New York, and Boston, but we also have a number of staff in Michigan, and Florida and Texas. So we're kind of everywhere you need to be, I think.
No, nothing in Phoenix, though.
We don't have anything in Arizona. But you guys have some good lawyers on the ground there, though, man. We do have some clients there we like working with.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I should get back in limited licensing. That's kind of the application process and stuff. There's a lot of money to be made there, folks. And you can call him and he'll explain to you how that all works. Excellent. So we got the federal stuff out of the way. Let's talk quickly about mushrooms, though, because you were involved in that. And I really appreciate the fact that you're spearheading and leading that movement into the therapeutical medicinal use of psilocybin for improving people's lives. How did you get involved with that, and what were you doing there?
Sure. So, I mean, we as an organization and as a company, we've been involved in drug policy reform since our inception, right? And we believe the war on drugs is a failure. So the question is, after we legalize cannabis, what's a logical next step, right, for us to look at? And you hear a lot of stories, and there's a lot of data coming out about psilocybin mushrooms, magic mushrooms, and the medical value that they can have to really alter people's lives to be in a positive way. So a lot of that's veterans, people dealing with PTSD, or victims of crime, victims of violence, things of that nature, people with depression, being able to use psilocybin in a therapeutic setting, and really get positive benefits out of that. And so we passed a law, which my law partner Josh helped write, which really was pretty history-making. This now will allow Coloradans to possess mushrooms, to purchase them at wellness centers that are state-regulated, and to use them while they're under the guidance of a sort of licensed therapist, right? And that could be like a spiritual leader, or that could be a more of like a medical therapist. So it's really a positive thing. It also kind of opened the door for, the way we wrote the law would allow for other natural medicines, we call them, so potentially ayahuasca, potentially peyote, DMT, things like that, to be used medically in our state.
I was laughing there because I was thinking to myself, like the Pope offering mushrooms as a spiritual leader. Ladies and gentlemen, we will dip into the mushroom pile now. And
hey, man, we all need a little more spirituality in this world. It's a weird place out there,
No, absolutely. And I appreciate what you're doing. And I appreciate your leadership. I'm an old fuddy-duddy conservative prosecutor who has changed his ways. I found yoga because of the cannabis movement, because I opened my eyes, because I started to understand it's about choice, it's about freedom, it's about finding the remedy, whatever it might be. Maybe you like walking in a circle all day long. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But there's so many options out there in the world. 2016, I started doing yoga because the cannabis movement, the guys at Normal. Shout out to Normal, and actually shout out to Rob Campia from the MPP. He was mentioned earlier. He's done a great job helping everybody this is Rob, Steve Fox, yourself, you guys, Chris Crane,
colleagues,
Ethan Nadelman, Keith Stroop. There's the whole
Paul
series.
Armentano. Yeah, there's a group of OGs, I think, have been doing it for a while. So
yeah, and you guys are like, when the first Mjbizcon happened, I wasn't there. I was there in 2012, but the first one, 2011.
Yeah,
there was like how many people?
I mean, it was a tenth of what's here today, man. I mean, not that many.
Yeah.
So it's grown tremendously.
Well, anything else you'd like to touch on before we go? It's been a pleasure of mine to introduce you and to get to know you better.
Yeah, man, I appreciate
We've never
that.
sat down and had a conversation this long.
Yeah.
So I'm learning about what he has done and what he's doing and what he's going to do, just like you guys are. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate what MITA is doing in terms of bringing people together and educating folks. And the work you guys have done in Arizona is very important. So hopefully we can model that in other states.
Well, we appreciate you, and we hope and pray for your success, and keep on advocating for the rights of others. It's the best thing to do.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Appreciate you.
Thanks so much.